What's up, guys? Welcome to Flaming Baseball, and today we're going over the three most underrated teams in my opinion. These teams, it kills me to see people think of them what a lot of people think of them. So we're gonna clarify some things, clarify at least what I think. You guys can comment below if you agree if I take a W or an L with this video, but let's get into it. Number 3 on my list is the Minnesota Twins, who get overlooked a lot because they don't win any playoff games. But I just feel like this team is really good. They've been good for 2 straight seasons now. They've been the 3 seed in the American League both of the last 2 seasons. And in my opinion, there's reason to think that they could be better than their 2020 selves. In the rotation, they have Maeda, they have Barrios, they have Michael Pineda, they have Randy Dobnak, they have Happ, they have Smeltzer. That makes up a fine rotation. Not very flashy names, but it's a very fine rotation if you ask me. And in the bullpen, you got a lot of capability back there. You got Taylor Rogers, who has room for bounce back for sure after a down year for sure, a 4.05 ERA in 2020. He is usually a lot better than that. You signed Alex Colomé, who just posted a 0.81 ERA, and he was with the White Sox. So taking him away from Chicago and adding an elite reliever to the Twins bullpen was really going to help. They have Taylor Duffy. His ERA was 1.88 last year, so should be 3 very good arms in the back of the bullpen for Minnesota. 2 of them in which did not really perform well last year and will really contribute to making them better in 2021. Another reason I think they're underrated and will be great in 2021 is because Mitch Garver, I don't think people realize how absurdly great he was in 2019. 995 OPS, what the heck? And then he dropped to 511. Like, honestly, from bona fide all-star number 995 all the way down to 511, which definitely does not get you a major league roster spot if you keep playing like that. He only played 23 games, so I'm excited to see his bounce back that could help the Twins. Remember, they won 101 games, albeit in a weak division in 2019, and then in 2020 they went 36-24, which is a 97 win pace in what was a much better division in 2020 with 3 teams going 35-25 or better. So yeah, Garver should bounce back. They have abundance of starter caliber infielders with Sano at first, Arise at second, and then it's going to be interesting. Maybe you move Polanco to second. You signed Andrelton Simmons, and then you have Donaldson at third, of course. So a lot of options in the infield, 5 good guys to put there. Left field is definitely their biggest weakness, but Buxton in center, Kepler in right. There's just not many weaknesses. Left field is really the only weakness you could point to on this team. They re-signed Cruz at DH. Cruz is extremely underrated. He's the best hitter on that team, even at 40, turning 41 in July. Over the past 2 seasons combined, like 2019 and 2020, Nelson Cruz has got to be a top 5 hitter in baseball if you combine the last 2 years. So it really is pretty shaming to me that he doesn't get that much attention. Like, the stuff he's doing at this age is pretty much unheard of. I would absolutely love to see him do it again. So all in all, Garver should bounce back. Donaldson could play more than he did in 2020. Rogers should improve. You got Alex Colomé. I just think that the Twins were really good in 2020, and there's a reason that they could be better. I would make a bet with someone that 2021, the Twins will finally break that skid of never winning a playoff game. Remember the Bomba squad from 2019? Well, the Bomba squad wasn't as much so great in 2020, but they were the 3rd fewest runs allowed Minnesota in 2020. So Minnesota became a pitching team, and to me, they're still going to have very great pitching in 2021. Number 2 most underrated team. It really is pretty crazy in my opinion that I have to say this because this team was a game away from the World Series, but it's the Atlanta Braves. Like, there seems to be this narrative out there, like MLB or whoever it was, one of the popular projection places had the Mets winning 96 games and the Braves winning 82 games, which is just absolutely absurd. I'm not saying the baseball fan base as a whole thinks the Braves will win 82, but I do feel like arguably more people are picking the Mets than the Braves to win that division. I don't really understand the concept that the Mets are better. The Braves won 97 games in 2019. They claimed the 2 seed in the National League, and then in 2020, it seemed as though they were going to have a bit of a down year, but they casually went 35-25, claiming the 2 seed, and casually came 1 run shy in Game 7 of the NLCS against the Dodgers. So close to the World Series was the Braves. I just think this Braves team is so good. They are definitely top 4 in baseball. Like, to me, Padres versus Braves is definitely a question. Those two are very close. I know the Padres are not in this video, but to me, it seems pretty crazy that people think the Padres are going to be number 2 baseball team in 2021 because Mike Clevenger is a big part of what San Diego's roster holds. He's like a 5 to 6 win guy, and he's out for the year. But anyway, for Atlanta, Max Fried, he is very good. He may regress from his insane 2020, which he posted an ERA below 2, but you're getting Soroka back. Remember how great he was in 2019? And you're adding Charlie Morton, who pitches very well in the playoffs. And they have Ian Anderson, they have Kyle Wright to fill out that rotation. And then when you go to position players, just look around this Braves team. Darno, above average catcher. Freeman, superstar at first base, reigning MVP. Albies is solid. Swanson is slightly above average for a good position at shortstop. Third base is the only weakness you could point to, but they do have options with Austin Riley, Pablo Sandoval. They just got Jake Lamb. And then in the outfield, you got Marcelo Zuna, who was absurdly great in 2020, offensively very underrated. He may step back a bit from that, and his overall value is going to decline a bit because he has to play the field again this year. But overall, still a great left fielder to have on your team. Ender Inciarte at center field and Acuna, obviously, in right. They lost Adam Duvall, a guy who I've always called underrated, who's a good hitter in this league. He went to Miami. The bullpen also has some good arms you could fire at there. AJ Minter, Chris Martin, Tyler Matzik, they were all under a 3 ERA in 2020. Will Smith had a down year, but he's usually very good and can make them better. Overall, my overall feeling on this Braves team is just like, you're so good. Yes, the Mets got better than the Braves got in the offseason, but the Mets were 26-34 last season, while the Braves were 1 game away from the World Series. I think the Mets have a lot of potential personally. I'm not even saying anything bad about the Mets, honestly. Like, they're gonna be in my top 10, but this idea that the Mets are a top 5 team is just wrong. That being said, I'm excited to see playoff baseball in orange and blue in New York, but there's absolutely no guarantee. Every time I go through just, a little personal simulation or whatever of the season, a little prediction, just random prediction, it always ends up coming to a Mets at Padres wildcard game. That's what I really believe will happen in 2021. Mark me right, coming back to this in October. Obviously a lot could happen, so it's not like it's truly likely, but it's definitely the most likely of it out of any option. Alright, anyway, number 1 most underrated team in the MLB. Again, it's pretty crazy that I have to say this to me. And I hope you guys are on my side of this, not like the rest of the baseball fans who are underrated in this team. But to me, To me, it's the Oakland A's. They won 97 games in 2018. They won 97 games in 2019. And they played at a 97 win pace in 2020. They've had a top 5 record in the sport for 3 straight seasons. Whether they'll be top 5 again or not, I've been seeing the Oakland Athletics ranked outside of the top 10, and that's just really, really ridiculous to me. There seems to be this idea that the A's are falling back and the Astros are the definite favorites again in the AL West. I don't see it. I understand that a lot of Astros players such as Bregman, Altuve, and Correa are going to bounce back from poor 2020s, part of the reason that they went 29-31, but still, Astros had Springer playing well in 2020, who they don't even have on their team anymore, and the A's finished 7 games above the Astros in a 60-game season. They lost Marcus Semien, guys, but I don't see it as a big deal. That's part of the reason. He's part of the reason that they got to 97 wins in 2019 for sure, but he's been a bad offensive player every year except 2019. He's had an OPS below 750 every year except 2019, including when he was 679 OPS, very bad hitter in 2020. Obviously, his defense is very good. So you got Elvis Andrus to play shortstop, which is a downgrade. I'm not saying it's an upgrade or even staying the same, but it's not a massive downgrade. I'd say in a full season, having Andrus over Semien is only a 1 to 2 game downgrade. But one of my main big points with the A's, guys, is that their players who are normally good did not play well in 2020. They have so much room for getting back to their past form, so much room for improvement, really be a lot worse or something. Olsen and Chapman will be better than they were in 2020. Chapman wasn't bad, but he wasn't exactly like he was the 2 years prior, and he also only played 37 games, so he'll be definitely more valuable in 2021 than he was in 2020. Matt Olson had a very down season. He'll definitely help more than he did last year. Canna could play more like his insane 913 OPS self from 2019. He is good. He dipped in 2020, but he was absurdly great in 2019. And Ramon Laureano really dipped. He should bounce back as well. So that's 4 guys who are 4 hearts of the Oakland Athletics who should really be way, way better. In the bullpen, you lost Liam Hendricks, but you got Trevor Rosenthal and Sergio Romo, who overall, considering though we're talking about relievers, guys, it's overall a downgrade, but a very slight one. Getting those 2 relievers, particularly Rosenthal, will help, and losing Hendricks. Overall, the pen is very elite, guys. You have Trevor Rosenthal, you have Trevino, you have Petit, you have Diekman, you have Weldelkin, Romo. That's an elite bullpen. The rotation lacks an ace for sure, but when you're talking underrated, you're talking the Athletics rotation, because honestly, they have just all these guys are just like slightly above average pitchers. At least most of them are just these slightly above average pitchers. You have Fires, you have Bassett, you have Minaya, you have Montas, and you have Luzardo. So you might not have that day where you feel like you're definitely going to win, but every day you got to feel pretty good. And we have one honorable mention to give out. That's the Arizona Diamondbacks. They went 25-35 in a disappointing 2020 season. They're not seen as a threat going into 2021, but to me, they have a little bit of hope. They had a negative 26 run differential in 2020, which is not that far below average. And Madison Bumgarner, he can't possibly pitch worse than he did in 2020, so he should help them hopefully. And Ketel Marte, he was terrific in 19, fell off a lot in 20. Hopefully that he could return at least closer to that 2019 form. If he does, the Diamondbacks are set up to be a 500 team with a chance to knock on the playoff door. But overall, my projection for the Diamondbacks win-wise is going to be probably somewhere between 77 and 81 wins, which overall, yeah, that's underrated, because most people are really seeing them probably as more of a 70 and 92 team, and I don't think they're that bad. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm so glad you made it to the end. Of course, we have overrated teams coming next. And if you like this one and are excited for me to drop overrated, leave a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss any baseball, subscribe to my NBA channel, link in the top of the description, and until next time, remember that baseball season's right around the corner.